This is From Now On. I'm Lisa Phillips. Just a heads up, this episode contains discussions of sexual assault, sex trafficking, and predatory behavior. Some listeners may find it upsetting. We encourage you to take care of yourself. Hi, and thank you for joining me today for part 2 with Hana Katana. I'm really feeling it today, so listen up. Here's something we need to understand. Survivors of abuse are not just stories, not just faces and headlines. We are human beings, and none of us asked to be touched, molested, raped, or abused. When we show up in our vulnerability, it's not a decision to be careless or naive. It's not a lack of judgment or awareness. It's just that predators, those who exploit, often look just like anyone else. And they use that camouflage to mislead, to betray the trust we all, as human beings, deserve. Every one of us has made mistakes. Dumb, reckless, careless decisions at times. But here's the difference. A mistake should never mean forfeiting your right to safety and your right to boundaries or your right to dignity. No choice, no misstep ever gives someone else permission to violate another human being. Yet in too many narratives and headlines, the truth gets buried. People see the mistake or the moment of vulnerability, and somehow the blame shifts from the one who caused the harm to the one who endured it. And let's set the record straight. None of us anticipated that the person we met, that trusted figure, friend, or even mentor, would turn out to be a predator. Because we're not supposed to live our lives assuming the worst in others, always anticipating that a monster could be lurking behind every smile. That's not a flaw in our character. It's a flaw in the systems and in the people who continue to allow predators to operate unchallenged. That's why I'm on a mission to make it harder for predators to hide in plain sight, to stop them from slipping easily into the spaces where ambitious, hopeful, and sometimes vulnerable people gather to build their exciting careers in sports, arts, and entertainment. I'm fighting to protect those who are still young, still full of trust, who might not yet know what danger can look like. A friend just trying to help or use their position of power. It's time to stop giving predators their cover, their excuses, and their defenses. And for those of us who've survived this violation and found their voices, we are powerful. And we're here to stand our ground. We're here to make waves, to reclaim our power, and to build a world that no longer coddles or shelters those who prey on others. And to every survivor out there, every soul who's ever felt like they lost their voice, know that you're not alone, because together, we're so much more powerful than any abuser and any predator. And they better watch out, because we're no longer playing by their rules. Welcome to From Now On. Hana Katana is a musician, activist, and content creator who exposed her abusers in the entertainment industry on social media. Since going viral, she has connected with other survivors of his abuse, but has faced many attacks from her abusers, fans, and the media. Hana Katana wants to foster safe spaces for survivors to speak out. So when other people are finally ready to name their abusers, they will be met with empathy and gratitude rather than victim blaming and shame. I'm grateful today to welcome Hana Katana to From Now On. Since you've experienced such harm from the general public and the media, commenting on your videos, exposing your abusers, we decided we wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of education about sexual violence on ways to support survivors. We're removing the sensationalism of sexual violence. So let's talk about consent, what consent is. In your words, what do you think consent is?
Consent is when you want to do something and you're letting it be known that you want to do something. So when you're consenting to sex, it can, be you saying yes, to having sex and showing that you want it as well. With your body language, with your actions.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if a person isn't saying yes, they're not consenting. If they're not showing you that they want to have sex, then they don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, yes isn't just like yes. It's like you want to. That's what
Yeah.
consent is in like my eyes. But I feel like it's not like
Yeah.
very scientific, maybe. But
Well, it doesn't have to be. I always just say it just has to be like you can tell the other person wants it. It's not
yeah,
you just want
exactly,
it.
exactly,
The other person is touching you and kissing you back. You're not just
exactly,
frozen like this while you're doing everything
exactly.
because that happens a lot.
Some people freeze. Like
Yeah,
it
some people
because
freeze because it means they don't want to do anything. And you should know
exactly,
a lot of men will think, or a lot of people will think it just has to be a no. No,
exactly.
like no. And a lot of times it's kind of scary to say that,
Yeah.
so it's looking for that consent is like
Mhm.
playing back and the flirting and kissing
Yeah.
and touching you back.
There's some people that are too afraid to tell their waiter that they got their
Yeah.
order wrong. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like there's people that really have a hard time saying no.
Mm-hmm.
So there's people that take advantage of that. They know that people have a hard time saying no and they'll just be like, "Oh, well, they didn't say no, so, I can do whatever I want."
Right.
But it's like,
Yeah, it's not rape because I didn't say no. So let's talk about rape.
yeah.
What do you define rape as?
I define rape as some sort of, when someone penetrates another person's body without their consent,
Without their
that
consent.
is rape.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's pretty self-explanatory.
yeah.
Yeah. For rape, do they have to say no?
No. I don't think no. And rape can also look like coercion,
Mm-hmm.
when a person says, "Oh, do you want to have sex?" and you're like, "No, no." "Oh, please do this, please do
Mm-hmm.
this, please do this." And you're like, "No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no." But then you finally just give
Yeah,
in.
they
You say
talk you into
yes.
it.
That's coercion. That's rape.
And that happens a lot of times.
A lot.
Yeah, because it's
Sage
obvious.
coerced me.
Oh, yeah.
I never wanted to, and he kept pushing, kept pushing,
Yeah.
kept pushing, kept pushing, kept pushing. Like I can't even tell you how many times. And then it came to a point where I realized, oh, he's not gonna let me say no.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's that kind of moment when you start to think, oh, is this really happening?
Yeah.
And then when it's happened before, you're like, is it really happening again?
Yeah, you're funny, that realization
Yeah.
when it's like you're not getting out of this.
Yeah. And it feels scary. It feels almost like no, this isn't actually happening. There's a part of you that's like, this, no way this is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're almost in denial. You're like, no way they're
Mm-hmm.
actually like trying to rape me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where that disassociation can, come into play. But
Especially when they're like a powerful person or
100%.
someone you look up to or a mentor or whatever it is, and they're pushing
Yeah.
you. It's like you're kind of maybe scared to like really say no
Exactly.
or run out of the room or
Well, it's just
you know,
like the people who, Diddy handed, spiked drinks to. It's like you look up to Diddy, you're really gonna
you
tell
would
Diddy
never.
no?
Yeah, you would never think it was spiked.
Exactly. You're gonna say yes.
Yeah,
Right? So
right.
it's like you're just more likely to give in to people if they're pressuring you, if they're people that you look up to. And a lot of times these people that are powerful and they're pressuring people with less power into doing things, they know that they have
Mhm.
influence over them. They're not
Right.
ignorant to that. They know the
Yeah.
power that they have and they
Right.
abuse it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because most people think about rape as just like you're jogging in Central Park and somebody grabs you and throws you in the bush and rapes you. That's a stranger. So,
It's not how it usually happens.
so yes,
happen,
obviously,
but-
okay, you didn't know that stranger.
Yeah.
You just don't go from like grabbing someone and raping them. We get that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it happens with people we know
Exactly.
that we feel safe with, we feel comfortable with,
Mhm.
and you can put yourself in that room with them,
Mhm.
or in that private space because you don't expect something like that to happen.
Mhm.
So there's different ways that they can coerce it out of you.
Mhm.
Okay, obviously the flat out rape in the room,
Mhm.
right? Where you're saying, no, 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 stop, stop, stop. And they do it, But a lot of times when let's just say for women and man, because it can happen in any way.
Yes.
But like you are showing all the signs that it's a no
Yes.
by not touching them back or not kissing them back. You're frozen, right? Or maybe you say no a few times, like, and they keep trying and trying and trying,
Mhm.
And don't you find some men will say, but I couldn't have raped her because she didn't say no. She didn't push me off. She didn't kick me. She didn't run out of the room.
The thing is, like, if you were to punch or hurt somebody that's like trying to rape you, you think they're just gonna be like, "Ow, that hurt.
Right.
Go on, get out of here."
Yeah.
They're probably gonna hurt you worse.
Right.
You know that they might actually take it out on you
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah.
hitting them.
Mhm.
They might make your rape more violent
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Oh, that's usually what will happen.
And they'll
Mhm.
punish you for fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when a person, you know, kind of fawns, or they, you know, they're showing, they're kind of just like they're not saying no, but they're not saying yes, or maybe they
Right.
said no 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
Yeah.
times, and then they finally said yes, but they're
Yeah.
still like, and they're not, you know, they're
No,
not
they're
grabbing
not.
on you, they're
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's rape.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah. It is. And a lot of times you don't in the moment want to say anything. Like you
hmm
don't want to speak up, and you just are thinking through your head, like, let's just get through this. Let me just get through this.
I mean, it's hard saying no, especially if you're like a people pleaser. It's hard for you to say no. So then you're like, no. And they're like, well, can we now? And it's like, fuck, I have to say no again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? You're just,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. And, you know, the more you say no, like the harder it gets, you know, and like the more that
Right.
realization where it's like, oh,
But this happens all the time, even just as a lot of girls go off to college
mm-hmm,
with boys the same age.
mm-hmm,
You know, there's a lot of rapes that happen in college.
100%.
For 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, it's not just powerful
Yeah.
people doing it. It's
No.
literally everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's why this
Like,
conversation isn't just for like the entertainment business. It's
exactly.
also for anyone watching, you know, who are in relationships, just
Mhm.
normal relationships.
And you can be in a relationship and you can be raped. You can be
Yeah.
married and you
Mhm.
can be raped.
It happens in all walks of life.
And some people, some guys will say, oh, well, you know, girls play hard to get, blah, blah, blah. Okay, buddy. If a girl says no to your first attempt, if she says no and
Mhm.
you think she's playing hard to get, leave the ball in her court.
Right.
Eventually, if she really wants you that badly that she's playing hard to get, she wants
Right.
you so bad that she's playing mind games with
Mhm.
you, she will eventually initiate if she realizes, oh, he's not trying anything. I said
Right.
no, he's respecting that. That might actually make her want you more because
Mhm.
maybe she's like, oh, wow, like he
Yeah. He
respects my
respects me.
boundaries.
Right.
Wow, that's
Yeah, I
kind of
know.
hot.
It's a turn. It is a turn on when a guy's like, okay, fine. Right.
Literally.
Mhm.
So people need to understand what is rape.
Mhm.
It doesn't just look like, no, get off me, don't do
Yeah,
that.
kicking, screaming.
Yeah, it's not always kicking and screaming.
Mhm. Good.
And the men think, a lot of people think, oh, well, because it wasn't this big, they weren't biting me, they weren't scratching me, because they're thinking, oh, well, if someone
Yeah.
tried to, you know, rape me, I would punch them, I would do this, I would do
Right.
this. But people, not everybody's confrontational, not everybody wants to
No.
get in a fight,
Mhm.
you know? People
Mhm.
are afraid to even say no.
Mhm.
They're gonna be afraid to like
Right.
hit you. Like
Fight
some people
back.
are pacifists.
Right.
Some people, it's literally against their philosophy or their religion to
Mhm.
even, you know, cause harm to people, or they've never been in a fight before, so they
Right.
don't know what it feels like
Mhm.
to defend themselves. Maybe they
Mhm.
even feel guilty defending themselves.
Mhm.
Maybe. And it's weird, you know, a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be some random person that rapes you, some person that you don't like that rapes
Mhm.
you. When a lot of times it's people that you do like
Right. It
that
is.
rape
Yeah. A
you.
lot of times it's people
And
you do
people think,
like.
oh, just because you're attractive,
Mhm.
you can't be a rapist. But yes,
Oh yeah.
like you
A lot
you
of times
can
it is the attractive
you
ones.
can exactly. I've been on so many situations where, you know, I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
kind of like this guy. You know, you go out and then they're just trying to get with you, and you're just
Mhm.
like, I don't really want to hook up with you yet, but they
Mhm.
just keep
Yeah. They keep
pushing,
going and going.
and it's really sad because I don't know. I just think of all these different sexual experiences I've had where like I stood firm in my boundaries, where I was like, no, and
Mhm.
like they kept asking, and I did
Mhm.
end up standing firm, and
Yeah.
nothing happened. It makes me think like, oh, like
Right.
I wonder if you've coerced like anybody else. Like, I
Right.
don't know. And it's just
Mhm.
really upsetting realizing how prevalent of a problem this is. And
Mhm.
I think that it's really important that we have these difficult conversations so that we can save people heartbreak, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, you absolutely can be raped by people you know, people you like, people you look up to, people you're a fan of.
Mhm.
And people think, oh, well, this big superstar, like, why would he rape
Yeah. I was just thinking
somebody?
that too. A
He
lot
can
of
have
people say
anybody he
that.
wants. But the thing is, they want
Yeah. That power.
sometimes the people that don't want them
Yeah.
because, just like you said,
Mhm.
it's about that
Mhm.
power. It's about that
Yeah.
domination. It's not
Oh.
about attraction.
Yeah. A lot of people say that. Like they're a famous celebrity. Why would they need to rape someone? Well, that's the part of the fun for them.
Exactly,
That's
because
what's the turn on.
they can
because
have anybody they want,
they can
right?
choose all like the 20 girls saying, me, I want to sleep with you. But they don't want that one. They want that one who's saying no,
Exactly.
who may be saying no or is more of a chase.
Exactly.
Right?
It's very toxic.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen with all men or all celebrities. I
No.
just want to
No.
say that. We're talking about predatory men.
Yes, exactly. But if the shoe fits, you were like, if you're getting offended, then you might want to think.
Yeah. And you guys in the comments, they're getting offended. Wonder why. I think about that too sometimes. Like, why are you sticking up for them?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a lot of men that don't.
That's something I noticed is a lot of the people that were sticking up for my abuser, it made me kind of
Yeah, I
side eye
know.
them. Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you
Right.
think is okay? Because, they're saying, oh, well, you went over to his house. What did you think was going to happen? You're going to
No.
play dominoes? You're
but you
going to
don't
play checkers? And
No.
I'm like, you're fucking.
But even if you
Oh,
think sex is going to happen, you don't expect to be raped. There's a
yeah.
difference between consensual sex and rape. So I don't.
Yeah.
I really dislike when people say that. Like, what did you expect? What did you expect when
Exactly.
you went to the island? What did you expect? I didn't expect to get
Wow.
raped.
Exactly. You're just like, I want to go to the island.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have fun. Like,
Right,
you're not
exactly.
thinking about that in the
No.
moment. And you trusted them. You
No.
trusted them not to rape you. And we shouldn't have to tell people, hey, you can't trust anyone. Like, is that really the world?
Yeah, I
we wanna
know. Because you can
live?
be because anyone has been in any room. Right? It's just the difference is you're in the room with a rapist. You're in the room with
Exactly.
an abuser. You're in the room with a predator. It's going to be different than just in a room with any regular Joe Schmo.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people were saying, "Oh yeah, what did you think was gonna happen?" And that made me look at those people thinking like, "Damn, I'm worried for anybody who's been to your house now, because you
Mhm.
believe that just because a woman agrees to come to your house,
Right.
that you think that's consent.
Right.
That scares me
Yeah.
for what you could have done to
Yeah.
other people, because your view on consent and sex and rape is just so skewed."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of people are talking about sex trafficking right now.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that I was sex trafficked
Mhm.
back when I was a young model
Mhm.
until later on, and I started talking to everyone else who
Mm.
had sent to the same like celebrities
Mhm.
and things. So it was like really hard for me
Wow.
to
You
even.
found out people you
Well, I knew, back then I was meeting people and I had unwanted advances or,
Mhm.
certain things had happened, but I didn't know it was to the same people
Mhm.
that all these other women were also sent to.
Mm.
So when he sent me to meet them, I thought it was for an audition, or Victoria's Secret casting or whatever it was, and there were 20, 30, or way more other girls sent to the same person for the same reasons.
That infuriates
Yeah,
me.
it's infuriating. That's the reason why I'm here right now, is because I didn't even know the deeper levels that were happening back then.
And you're being assaulted, so you're
Yeah.
not talking about it right away.
And I just thought, oh, it was pretty or dumb luck or these men want to assault me. And like it kept happening because it was my fault.
gosh.
And it was exactly. And it wasn't until
Literally, I
yeah.
relate to
Yeah,
so
I know
much.
you
It's
relate
so
to it because you're
crazy.
finding that out when other
Yeah.
women come forward and say, no, I was sent to the same men from this guy. Send me over to meet
Yeah.
this guy. And you're thinking it's for, a casting or an audition for a
he
movie
said,
or whatever
I
it
should
is.
meet
Like
this guy.
normal
This guy can
things.
help me. I should hang out with
Yeah.
him.
Normal
and, well,
things.
I'm just a pretty model, so of course all the
Yeah,
guys
of
are gonna
course.
come after me. Of course they're gonna try to fuck me.
Yeah,
Duh,
exactly.
this is normal. Everybody
Uh-huh.
tries to fuck me. So
Yes.
why would it be any different
Right.
that this casting director is trying to fuck me, or
Yeah.
the singer is trying to fuck me?
But the difference is that he sent you over there for that reason. That's the difference.
I'm just so angry. Like
Yeah,
that
it
is
makes you
just,
angry.
it makes me angry.
Yeah.
Like, damn, I had no fucking clue.
Mhm.
I had no fucking clue
Yeah.
that you were doing this.
No, I didn't have any clue either. I mean, many, many, many years later.
And you don't talk about it because you're like, I remember thinking like, after things happen similar to that, I'm thinking, oh wow, I shouldn't have drank so much. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
reason why, like, I don't
No, it's a
remember
sex
any.
trafficking ring going on. It's set up just like you said. I mean, this sex trafficking ring was even funded by like JP Morgan, funded by these. It's just it's infuriating. So there's all these other little sex trafficking. I mean, not even little, big sex trafficking rings going on within the music industry.
One of the people that I believe KP trafficked me to, I ended up looking, I didn't even remember the guy's name. I had to go talk to my my friends who I was hanging out with around that time. I'm like, hey, do you remember what I told you about this night? And they're like, yeah, you were with this guy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, I remember that guy. And then I went and I looked at his music. he has songs with Sage.
Mm-hmm.
And then that literally made me feel like, oh my God, all of these abusers know each other.
Yeah, they
All
all
of these abusers work together. All of these abusers profit off of
mm-hmm.
like singing about their
Mm-hmm.
abuse, and
Mm-hmm.
they make money with
Oh
each
yeah.
other. And
They're all laughing about it.
they make in these songs,
Yeah.
they're literally laughing about it. They're
I've
like,
heard guys say
they're,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
put shit in her drink, pass her to the bro, sell her like car
Yeah.
insurance, blah blah
Oh
blah.
yeah, my friends in the music industry say they go through like Instagram girls and like I had that one, I had that one. Oh yeah, we had, they go through. It's so it's disgusting.
People are like, oh, you're so courageous. I'm angry.
No, it's angry.
I'm
And
angry.
yeah, no, we're not yeah, it's true. Like brave, courageous, thanks, but no. It's because we're finding out things that we didn't know when it happened.
Exactly.
8 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever. 20 years ago. I had a guest on here. It was from the 60s. She was abused by a serial
Wow.
predator.
Yeah. Oh my
It's
gosh.
going on a long time, but that's why we're here.
And it's so evilly genius that they drug women, because it's like, how are you supposed to
Evilly.
remember anything? You can't recollect your events, and we already
I
gaslight
don't know.
ourselves. So
You
now
don't
we have
remember
an
it, so
impaired
how can you
memory.
speak out about it, right?
Yeah, how do you speak
Yeah.
out about it?
So evilly genius. It's almost like eerily, very true.
It's so organized. It's so organized. There's so many intelligent people that are involved in this shit. So many people that
It is an intelligence.
yeah.
If you can get away from things for so many years, it is an intelligent thing. It's
Yeah.
almost like a genius plan.
Yeah.
It's blowing up now, but
Well, and that's the thing that's so confusing about it, because then it's like Sage will say those stupid things on his stories.
yeah, it's like
From my
it's gonna
perspective,
backfire.
I'm like, how can you be so stupid to be
Yeah, I
this
know.
careless with your response
Yeah.
to like what I'm saying? So how can y'all be so smart and so organized, but so careless and
Mhm.
so cocky? Like
Well, careless and cocky is because they know they're gonna get away with it, or they think
yeah,
they're always gonna get away with it. Until the women band together,
yeah,
because that's how it happens.
exactly.
Stuff like this, when we get together and we talk about it, and we have the same experiences.
We're stronger together. And they know that. That's why they stick together too. That's why birds of a feather flock
They
together.
do.
And, it's why, also people bringing up Chris Brown was another reason what inspired me
Mhm.
to talk about Sage,
Yeah.
because I wanted people to know that Chris Brown's friends are rapists.
Mhm.
People need to understand that these abusers run together.
Yeah, but he is
And they
too.
make, yeah, he is. He
Mhm.
is too.
I've heard young girls talk about things that have happened
He is.
with him,
Wow.
and underage.
I have a friend where something happened, and she
Mhm.
hasn't expressed any interest in talking about it, so I can't
Yeah.
really talk about
Yeah, that's okay.
that.
And
But
it's okay. She doesn't.
I know what he is.
Mhm.
He's a rapist,
Mhm.
and his friends are rapists, and they beat women,
Mhm.
and they hurt women.
Mhm.
They hurt people, and in really gruesome ways. And a lot of people have been just scared to talk about it because they keep seeing how people are treated when they speak out. So it's like,
Yeah.
why would more people want to speak out?
Yeah.
But
That works in their favor.
we just have to keep doing that work to just try
Mhm.
to create these safe spaces, so that eventually more and more people will
Yeah.
feel comfortable doing it. Because you can't sit here and demand names. Everybody's like, oh, why aren't people speaking out? Why is Diddy the only person
Right.
getting arrested? Aren't there other celebrities?
Yeah.
It's like, why would those people name names when they're not going to have any
No.
protection? They're going to get bullied. They're going to be
Mhm.
harassed.
Mhm.
Their lives could be in danger. Like, why? If
Or
y'all
we
want,
have NDAs where you can't name names.
yeah, or you have NDAs. Like, there's so many factors.
So as survivors, we are navigating a lot mentally. We have to choose whether to process our traumatic experiences. Our brains are often trying to make sense of the violence, right? Which causes us to be in a shame cycle. I know a lot about that. So it takes a lot of mental strength to be public about our stories. What has been surprising to you in the way people have reacted to you sharing your story? Even in a positive way, or
Honestly, yeah. So it's been surprising in both the positive and negative aspects. I was surprised because I guess I didn't realize just like how amazing of a community survivors have already been building, and putting love and, you know, have been
Yeah.
nurturing, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that there were so many people ready to like hold me and ready to help me and ready to like, hey, like they knew what to do, they knew what to say, they knew what resources to send. That really made a world of difference. If that hadn't been there, the negativity that came would have really been devastating to me.
Yeah.
I think that the positivity definitely outweighed the negative, and I'm really grateful that that was there. And my heart really goes out to people who spoke out and didn't have that, you know, their stories weren't able to reach far enough to get that supportive community. Maybe their video went viral on the wrong, you know, audience, with the wrong audience.
Right.
But yeah, it was really surprising to see, I guess, the playbook be followed, just like the abuser playbook, you know? Like it's these abusers fit a profile and they literally follow
Yeah.
a playbook. And it's just like, it was just crazy just to see it play out, you know? Just to see the fans instantly, you know,
Go to their defense.
instantly go to their defense and not even question them. And it's just very weird because it's a lot of the same men that are like, oh, don't go out wearing that. You know
Yeah.
how men are.
I'm
But
surprised
it's
at
like,
all those comments people say about the way you're dressed.
yeah, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of those too.
Exactly. I just don't understand, like, if you know how men are, then why aren't you questioning that this man could have done something?
Right.
It just doesn't make
Because
any sense.
men do think that way about
Yeah,
how women dress.
they do.
Yeah.
And why is the way that I'm dressed, like, what does that have to do with anything?
But that's different than having a thought about someone and actually, because she's dressed, hurting her or raping her. It's completely different than a guy saying, oh, she's dressed, she's like this or like that.
Yeah,
There's a big difference here.
huge. So I'm trying to think about, because I mean there were a lot of surprising things. I guess it was surprising how many victims there were of
Yeah,
Sage's
that
abuse.
is the most
The
surprising.
thing is, I wasn't expecting the video to go as viral as it was, but like there was a piece of me that felt like by posting it that I would at least find at least one other
Yeah,
victim, at least one other survivor. So many.
So many are saying me too.
And I know, and it's like the stories are too similar.
Oh, there, yeah.
Details that I didn't even talk about, they're talking about. So I'm like,
So you knew they
y'all
were
are telling the truth.
Yeah.
I believe these women.
Of course.
And I believe these girls. And that was really that was the most surprising thing, is just how many survivors there really were. And it was also surprising to see that I wasn't the first one who spoke out.
Oh, yeah.
Baby Gemini was, I think, the first person who spoke out about Sage.
Oh, really?
But she's a sex worker. She's a porn star. And people treated her so fucking terribly.
Just because of what she does.
Yeah. And
what did she speak out about? What did she say exactly?
Sage raped her. And he held her in his home for like multiple days, took her phone. This was also a theme. All of our phones were taken from us.
I've heard that.
That's another thing. Some of the women had to sign papers. He anally rapes women. I know that's like an explicit thing, but like he's a serial rapist. And like one of the things, like, I don't know why, it's really gross, but like, that is what he is. That is what he does. And he has it down to an organized system. And it's just like crazy. It's just crazy. It's just crazy how many people were affected. And I just really wasn't expecting that. It was who he actually is. He's actually much more evil. Actually much more, what's going on was actually much more sinister than I thought. My story is like a snowflake on the tip of the iceberg of what that man is actually up to.
Wow.
Just to put it in perspective. It's really, really, really bad.
Yeah, I believe you.
Snowflake on the tip of the iceberg. Fucking terrifying.
Wow. So when you spoke out, all these women, girls, came forward. Were any underage?
Some were underage at the time.
At the time
of the assault.
Yeah.
A lot of them were in high school at the time. Another thing that was surprising is people were commenting who like knew him from the Bay, who knew him from high school. And I had so many character testimonies being like, yes, there have been stories floating around like this for a long
Since
time.
high school.
Yeah, since high school. People saying, oh yeah, he performs at high schools. Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he tries to recruit girls in the parking lot at
Oh,
high
yeah.
schools to
Sure.
come to his shows.
Of course, in high school, girls, I'm like, yeah, I want to go and hang out.
People
You
would say
know,
that he would hang out by areas just near the high
right.
school, just waiting for young girls to come by, that he'd, be at the mall trying to talk to
Oh,
girls. Like,
real predator.
yeah. Yeah, and I think I'm really glad that this all happened, because it's like people need to know, if you're a young high schooler, don't go to his concert. If he comes to your high school,
Yeah.
don't get starstruck,
Don't go
because
backstage.
that
Don't go to
man
the hotel room. Don't
is
go
a
anywhere.
serial anal rapist.
Every time you say that, I'm
It's
like,
gross. It's bad. It's scary. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible what he does. And he does this to little girls.
hmm.
And every time people make a report, not
Oh,
enough evidence.
it's-
Why? Why is nothing being done? Why? Why is nothing being done? Oh, and on top of all of this, he has an STD.
Oh, of course.
And he gives a lot of these young girls his incurable
Oh,
STD.
he's a sadist.
He is.
Yeah,
And
he knowingly is doing something to harm them and getting sexual gratification out of it.
yeah. And I don't know, like, there's a part of me that just feels so frustrated, because it's
Yeah,
like
this makes me so.
I feel like part of me feels like, oh, like there's nothing I can do. Like,
No, you are doing something right now.
but yes, exactly. But I am doing something, and by continuing to speak out, I'm confident that, more people will step forward. And also, another thing that Ariel mentioned with your interview with her is, she talked about how she believes the only reason that her case was taken seriously is because it went viral. I believe the
Yeah.
same thing. Now that there's so many
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
on this, I feel like now things are going to be different than
Yeah.
they've been before with him.
Oh, that's the great thing about social media.
And with Baby
It would-
Gemini, like, when she spoke out, it didn't go as far, and people were, I think, a lot more cruel to her, because, like, though I have done
Yeah.
OnlyFans, I guess my page
Yeah.
isn't, as explicit. So people are just really evil and
Yeah.
nasty to sex workers, and they never believe them when they
No.
talk about abuse that they face,
No.
and they act like they deserved it. And I really don't understand that. And I really want her to get justice, and I want us all to get justice. That was the most surprising thing, was finding out that there were so many victims, and that they had made police reports, went to court, lawsuits. It's documented in courts that he rapes, sodomizes, and gives women incurable STDs, and still nothing has happened. And that lawsuit was a year before he raped me. How did the courts find that he did that a year before he raped me, and he was just allowed to do what he did? That literally is so fucked up. And
Yeah.
people will say, oh, well, if you would have made a report back then, you would have saved all those girls. But people have been making reports, and it's
Yeah,
still,
they've been making them.
you have to connect the testimonies. Is really, if you really want to get justice, you have to find the other survivors.
Right.
You have to. And it's hard to do. It's not normal to just go on social media and talk about, like, being raped.
No, of
Like,
course
usually it's
not.
something that you keep inside. But the
No.
thing is, these abusers rely on our silence.
Yeah.
Because if once we stop being silenced, once we start talking about it, once we
Right.
start speaking up, that's when everybody comes out the woodwork and is like, wait a minute, yes, he did this to me. I
Yeah.
knew this wasn't normal. I knew he was doing it to other people. He took my phone too. Oh, he hit me up this way. Oh yeah,
Right.
he
Yeah.
hit me up on Snapchat. Yeah, he was always deleting the messages. Like, little things that it's like, it's just crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, leaving too many crumbs everywhere.
Yeah.
Also with the younger ones too, it's like it's hard for them to speak out because like then they kind of have to admit to their parents they were at a concert or they, or
Exactly.
they probably were somewhere they shouldn't have been. And
If you're in high school,
yeah,
it's like, what if you had to sneak out that night
yeah,
to see him?
exactly. And they just wanted to see like someone they look up to or love their music, and they weren't expecting something like that to happen. But that's what
Exactly.
they prey on, is that, starry-eyed fan.
Exactly. And it's like, just because I like your music doesn't mean I want to fuck you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, I went over to Chris Brown's house because
yeah,
I was like, okay, like you made all these
Right.
amazing songs that like
Uh-huh.
I listened to in middle school.
Right.
Me and my friends would always
There's nothing
dance
wrong with
to.
that.
Like you're this person who is like I like
Mhm.
physically like attractive. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, we can hang out. We can
Yeah.
have a fun night. And it was not a fun night.
Yeah.
I was wrong. It was
Mhm.
not a fun night.
Mhm.
And he took advantage of the fact that I trusted him. And I feel like we trust
Mhm.
artists because
Of
we listen to
course.
their music.
Yeah.
And so like we think we know them. We think
Mhm.
we can
Mhm.
trust them. When in reality they're strangers.
Mhm.
We don't know them.
Mm-mm.
I did not know him. He was a
Mm-mm.
literal random man
Mhm.
that messaged me and I went to go hang out with him. And that doesn't mean that I deserve
No.
to get
No, it
assaulted.
doesn't, because it happens all the time where people go
Yeah.
hang out with people.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
But it's just gross that people think, oh well, you know what time
No.
he's on, you know, you've
No.
heard his songs, you know how he lives, but I don't care how he lives.
No.
I'm thinking from my perspective, which is
Yeah.
I'm just here to hang out.
Right.
I'm just a little
Exactly.
18-year-old girl that was just like, oh,
Mhm.
I want to hang out. What's up?
Mhm.
Let's talk. Let's watch
Yeah.
Netflix. Like,
Exactly.
and when I say watch Netflix, I actually mean watch Netflix.
Right.
That's also not consent. If a girl comes over for Netflix and chill, you still have to get that consent. Just because
Right.
she's watching a movie with you doesn't mean that she wants to have sex
No.
with you.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's something that's never talked about. People always joke about Netflix and chill, but that's actually one
Mhm.
of his tactics that he uses is
Mhm.
he'll be like, "Oh yeah, let's watch a movie. Let's put on a movie." And then he rapes them.
Yeah.
And it's really disgusting.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Just because I'm a mother, and not just because, but sometimes it hits a little when you have a teenager and stuff,
Mhm.
and knowing that's out there
Mhm.
and how to protect them.
Mhm. And this can happen not just to
Yeah.
girls, this can happen to boys.
No, I'm
This
talking about
this can happen
boys.
to
I'm talking about
anybody.
boys. Yeah.
This can happen
It
to
does happen to
anybody.
boys, as we know with what's going on with P. Diddy. It's more
Exactly.
than 50% that are boys.
Exactly. And it's really gross. I've seen a lot of people making jokes about the victims
No,
of
that's
P. Diddy, and
disgusting.
they've been making
No.
homophobic jokes.
Oh, I see those. Yeah,
And
all of
that
that.
makes me really upset
Yeah.
because by making those jokes, you're helping the abuser get away with their crimes because why would, straight men want to have to come out and talk about their abuse, or people who maybe are like in the closet? Why
Yeah.
would they want to come out and talk about their abuse if they know that people are instantly going to call them gay?
Yeah, of course, of course. And
And there's nothing wrong with being gay, but it's
no, but
like,
these boys, these men now are super brave coming out and speaking out.
yes.
Just the more that they do, just like, because some of them were young as 10 years old, when it happened. And that is a lot for them to speak out about something that happened like that. It's not easy. It's not easy for women, but it's really hard for men,
Mhm.
but this needs to be on the forefront of people need to
Mhm.
understand. Because even in the media, I don't really hear that the majority is boys that it
Mhm.
happened to. It's like a lot of people don't know that,
Yeah, exactly.
but there were a lot of young boys that were abused by Sean Combs. I'm a mother of boys too, so it's just a lot of this stuff. It just really makes me so angry and just makes me like, how do we protect these kids as they're going through life? And we want them to be ambitious. We want them
Yeah.
to go into these businesses. There's nothing wrong with the entertainment business. It's like
Mhm.
exciting, and I've had this wonderful career, but also just to know how can we protect people? Like
That's
tell
what I'm
me, like,
saying.
how do we support people, and how do we educate them to say for these scenarios
Mhm.
how to have that power to be like no, or
Yeah.
not even put yourselves in these positions, because you're going to be in these positions with just regular people that do want
Mhm.
to help you, or your
Mhm.
agents and managers. They should be normal situations.
There's like not many regulations. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is
right.
about the entertainment industry, why abuse is so
Yeah,
prevalent,
yeah.
why it is
Mhm.
able to happen to
Mhm.
so many people and fly so under the
Mhm.
radar, but like also everybody knows, but nobody
Yeah,
talks
no,
about
nobody
it.
talks about. Yeah.
I really don't know what it is, but like you, I really would love to see the entertainment industry become a place where,
Mhm.
like, once I have kids, I want to, if they wanted to become a singer or actress, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be like scared to
Right.
think about them being in the studio
Mhm.
with like the producer at the label. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
shouldn't be afraid to think about your kid going off to work. Like,
Right.
imagine, like, at any other job, you're not gonna think, "Oh, I hope my kid's not gonna get raped at work
Yeah,
today."
yeah. It
Like,
could happen in any business. It's not just
but
entertainment.
yeah,
Right.
no, it can happen in any
It happens
business,
in high
though.
schools and colleges.
It does. In churches. There's rapists everywhere, and there's even rapists in law enforcement. And that's another thing that people don't understand. It's like there's abusers everywhere.
Everywhere.
And abusers are drawn to positions of power.
hmm
And, they abuse that power.
hmm So that's what we're talking about is the abuse of the power.
Yeah.
Because all these businesses you can go into, obviously school and things, like hopefully nothing ever happens to you, but just maybe some red flags
Mm-hmm.
or some warning signs that you could think of along your journey. I could think of some, but like I want to hear from you of what you maybe would have done differently or some red flags to look out for as people are navigating life and these careers, ambitious careers.
If anybody tries to tell you, oh, this is just how things are if you want to get ahead. If you want to do this, then you have to sleep with me. You have to do this sexual thing with
Mhm.
me. There are so many people that will try to tell you that.
Mhm.
And they'll tell people that they know are new to the industry because
Right.
they know that they're more likely to believe it because they don't know how things are. They'll tell you, "Oh, well, you know
Mhm.
that Rihanna, the only way that she did this was because of this." They'll
Oh
literally say
yeah.
anything.
Oh, they'll say that. They'll say anything to
They'll s-
manipulate you.
exactly. They'll
Mhm.
be like, "Oh, well, this person that you love, yeah, they had to do this too." And
Mhm.
then you'll think, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
if this person I look up to had to do it, then
Yeah.
like is that the only way?"
Well,
And
that's the Harvey Weinstein thing.
exactly.
Yeah, you want to be in this movie? Here's what you have to
Exactly.
do.
And the truth is like it's not how it is. Like
No,
there are
exactly.
some people who abuse their positions of power. It's not every
No, it's not
casting
everybody.
director.
No, it's
It's
not.
not every photographer.
No.
It's not every singer. It's
Mm-mm.
not every single
Mm-mm.
person, but there are abusers in all industries, in the
Right.
music industry,
Right.
in your church, in your schools, in your law
Yeah.
enforcement, everywhere.
Yeah, you could have easily went over to a musician's house, Netflix and chill, and nothing's
And
gonna happen to
actually
you.
and literally just watch
Right.
Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Majority of the time, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes people are gonna say, "Oh, well, if you know you want this, then you have to do this." Don't that they are
No, but that's
lying.
not true.
They're lying, and that person
Yeah.
wants to abuse you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, this is like random advice that I have for like anybody who's like believes that they've been assaulted, but they
Mhm.
don't like. I feel like a lot of times when you're assaulted, you don't know if you were assaulted,
Okay, that's
and that's
true.
the main reason why you
Yeah.
don't talk to anybody about it because you're so
Mhm.
afraid of like saying that they did something and they
Right.
didn't.
And you think you're the only one.
Yeah, you think you're the only
Mhm.
one. Journaling, I think,
Really?
is like my top advice for anybody who's assaulted because you can also, if say 10 years down the line,
Right.
you're finally ready to talk about it,
Mhm.
you know what
Mhm.
happened was that you also journaling can help you like
Yeah.
understand what
Mhm.
happened and process
Mhm.
and work through those complex emotions and
Right.
memories. You can later go back and be like, hey, these were my journal entries from that time, because sometimes it's hard to remember
Mhm.
things that happened a long time
Oh, for
ago,
sure. Yeah.
but you're not ready to speak out right away. You're
Mhm.
not ready to speak out till like me 8 years later.
Mhm.
Like if you have any journal entries from like that time period, like
Mhm.
that is something that
Yeah,
could
that'd be
really
so
help you.
valuable.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I feel like that's like my biggest advice because there's just like you can't go wrong
Mhm.
with that.
Yeah, I had to go back and like ask people from that time frame of what I told them or would you remember what
Exactly.
happened to fill in some of the blanks and
Exactly.
fill in. But
Other
journaling
red
would really,
flags.
really help. I
Well,
could see,
that's what I've
like you
been
said, just
thinking of.
even just processing everything or how you felt in that moment.
Exactly. I've journaled for other assaults, but
Mhm.
for this one, I didn't have a
Mhm.
journal entry of that, and I was like,
Mhm.
damn it, that would have really helped me.
Mhm.
And so that's something I want to encourage people to do is to
Mhm.
journal about, those traumatic
Yeah, that's great
experiences.
advice.
Um, but yeah, don't if somebody says that you have to do this or else you
Mhm.
won't have a career, that's not true. There are people that have genuine hearts, that are genuinely talented, that are real professionals who can help you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if somebody isn't, they
Right.
need sexual favors from you in order to help you or they don't,
Right.
they don't want to help you, like you don't need them.
Mhm.
You don't
You
need
actually
them.
don't.
You don't need them to be
No.
successful.
Mhm. You're gonna
You
get
you
there.
know your
Yeah.
talents, you know your skill, you
Yeah.
don't need them.
Mhm.
Screw them.
Yeah.
And now
Uh-huh.
you know who they are and
Right.
don't ever work with them.
Right. Mhm.
And also believe other people in the industry. If you start like hearing
Mhm.
things like believe survivors, because it could really save you down the road.
Yeah.
Like, and you shouldn't believe them just because it could save you, but it's like,
Listen up. Listen what
listen,
they're
they're
saying.
trying to warn you.
Right.
And I know that some people will get annoyed when survivors speak out about people in the industry,
Yeah, they do.
because they're like, oh, like, fuck, but I just did a song with them. Like, are you really
Right.
telling me that
Yeah.
this feature I just paid them for, like, I can't do that?
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm trying to help you, because
Right.
it's like, you don't know if you could be assaulted by that person. And also, say you do put out that song with them, and now finally all the survivors of their abuse are speaking out. Now you have a song with a canceled artist, and now
Yeah.
you're getting canceled.
Yeah. I know, it's so true. It can work that way
But
too.
it actually is going to benefit you in the
Right.
long run by believing survivors. Like, we're not just talking out of our ass.
Right.
We're trying to warn you.
Right.
We're telling you who they are.
Yeah.
And you can choose to believe it or not, but people are who they are. And those true colors will reveal themselves eventually.
Well, yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes you go learn the hard way too. And then
Yeah.
you'll turn around and be a believer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So there are some people in our audience who are in the thick of an abusive relationship or a power dynamic, or have gone through something similar that you and I have. And they're processing through an assault. What would you say to them?
I would say that you're probably not alone. That if someone assaulted you, they've probably assaulted other people before too. And speaking up right away, might be a lot, but if you can at the very least just get, a journal entry down, or, if you do want to talk to somebody, talk to a close friend.
Right.
Because like you said, when you were ready to speak out, what did you do? You're talking to old friends. Hey, what did I tell you back then? That's what I was doing with, when I saw the KP stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I need to figure out what was going on there, because this is really weird. Talking to my friends. So talking to your really close, trusted loved ones, they can be record holders for you as well. And they can be like, hey, like, this is what you told me in that time. And
And they remember.
that can be really helpful. So if you do have that trusted support system, people that you can confide in, talk to them, talk to your friends, talk to the people who love you, journal, and there's resources out there. And it's difficult, because it's like it's like labor going out of your way to be like, okay, what do I do if I get raped? Like, who do I call? Do I make a police report? It's like trying to figure out all the steps. So, if you have people that can help you, lead you through that, like send you resources, if you can even just say like, hey, like, can you send me resources? Sometimes,
that helps.
like asking people for resources can help.
Yeah.
Or, and yeah, I think the biggest thing that I wish I knew back then was that I wasn't alone.
Yeah, that you're not
That they had
alone.
done it to other people, and that what happened, there's nothing that I could have done. They planned it all. It was premeditated. And there's nothing that I could have done to avoid it. What happened was what happened, and I didn't do anything wrong.
No, you didn't do anything wrong.
And I think I would also tell them that I'm happy that they're alive, and I'm glad that they survived. And that I'm thankful that they're still here, and that you don't have to rush your healing. You don't have to rush thinking about things that you're not ready for. I know that's controversial. People say, oh, you have to think about things. You can't run away. But sometimes you're just not ready to think about certain things.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it just takes time.
Sometimes
And
it just
it's
takes
on
time.
your own time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All on your own time. When you are ready to file that police report, file that police report. People shouldn't be rushing people to do things like that. Yes, file the police report when you feel ready, but it's like, don't feel like because you didn't get the rape kit, because you didn't do it all right away, that now you have no case. Because that's also something that I thought, that because I didn't get the rape kit, because I signed this paper, like I thought, oh, well, I don't have a case. I don't think anybody should ever think, oh, I don't have a case. They'll never believe me. I don't have enough evidence. Because the thing is, you could have all the evidence, and they would still tell you that you don't have enough evidence.
But at least if you do file it, And then
There's a
you don't
record.
know, like other survivors come forward.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You
Now
are
it's different.
probably not the
Mhm.
only one.
You are
And one day,
one day.
maybe you didn't have enough evidence, but one
Mhm.
day enough people will come forward,
Right.
and eventually
Yeah.
somebody will speak up
Mhm.
whenever they're ready, and eventually
Right.
everything will be able to get connected and they'll be
Right.
held accountable.
So that's a good way of thinking about it,
Yeah.
right? That maybe something won't happen right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But at least you have that paper trail
Exactly.
for when everything does come out, because eventually it probably will.
Exactly.
And then you can be part of a,
Exactly.
a group.
And I didn't make my report right away, but other girls did.
Yeah.
And that helps me that they were
Yeah.
able to do that. So it's like, do what you can, you
and
know?
you can have a class action suit at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And don't feel guilty for not speaking out right away. If they
Mhm.
hurt anybody after you, that is on them,
Yeah.
not on you.
Exactly. So when you hear the powerful statement, "From now on," how would you finish that sentence?
From now on, I am not ashamed.
Mm. Mm.
I'm empowered.
Mm. That one hits home.
Feels good. It feels really good.
Good.
Thank you for offering this space to me and to talk with you. And I
Mhm.
know that, you're a survivor yourself. You're still processing
I
your own
am.
trauma. So it just really means a lot to
Mhm.
me that you are
Yeah.
opening yourself up to me, even though like you've been through so much
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you're still probably going through a lot, because it's a daily healing.
Mhm.
Isn't just, oh, I'm healed. No, it's like
Mm-mm.
a lifelong journey.
It is.
You might wake up one day and realize, oh wow, I did not realize I had healing to do there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Certain things can trigger you, or
yeah,
certain situations you can be in. It's like,
yeah,
oh, I need to work on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a journey. So thank you
Oh, thank you
on
so
this
much.
journey with you.
This has been such an amazing, profound, deep talk, much needed. And I'm just so thankful, because I know that this is very fresh for you. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Hana
you.
Katana.
Thank you, Lisa Phillips.
This is From Now On. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Lisa Phillips. Special thanks to our guest, Hana Katana. Elizabeth Wyndham is our senior producer. Christopher Leone is the editor. Corey Wynn is our director of photography. Weiler Neubauer is our video technician. And Jose Oriana is our studio producer. Our theme music is Many Worlds by Memory Theory. If you have any thoughts, questions, or stories about your own views on topics discussed on From Now On, email us at fromnowonpod@gmail.com. And please follow, rate, comment, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If today's conversation resonated with you and you are seeking more support in your own healing journey, if you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, help is available. Call 800-656-HOPE. If you or someone you know is being trafficked, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Text 233-733. That's Be Free. PAVE is a 501c3 nonprofit creating a world free from sexual violence and building communities to support survivors. To learn more, go to shatteringthesilence.org. Speak Out, Act, Reclaim, SOAR, is dedicated to providing a safe and empowering space for survivors of sex trafficking to reclaim their stories and stand up for themselves and each other. That's www.speakoutactreclaim.org.